welcome to episode 48 of PauseCast. It is July 27th, 2017. I am Jessica Alouette. I use she, her pronouns.
And I'm Mark Hanna. I use he, him. Welcome.
Welcome. Hi.
Hey.
So, hey.
Hey.
We didn't do an episode last week.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Well,
that was maybe not good.
I'm, back in the country for more than 24 hours now, which helps.
Yeah, that's true. That was a big thing, was that you were away. And you hadn't played a lot of video games during that time either, so it wouldn't have been, a particularly good episode.
Yeah, so I had just barely managed to finally get my laptop back before I left. So that, I'll take it with me. And then I think I spent, half an hour on it the whole week, so...
But now that you're back, that means you have played, actual video games this time, right?
I have.
Just check.
That's
not... Also, I should be clear. That's not to, imply that you have been playing fake video games, which is a buck-wild concept.
No, but sometimes, occasionally, I go a week and I'm like, oh, wait, I haven't actually played anything.
But you still have interesting things to talk about, and that's been our, saving grace over and over.
I have years of experience of having played video games. I've saved up the weeks.
It's true. It's just now is the opportunity for you to let them all out.
Exactly.
This is a show about video games that we do every week. So we're just going to get into it. Mark, what have you played this week?
So I've found I don't know if this was since the week I had away or...
Both.
Since
Give
not,
me both.
or since
what
not,
have you played?
This is the context of what I'm going to say what I've played. I don't know if it's been the week I've had away or the time I had without my laptop where I was playing on my less powerful desktop. But I feel like, at least for the moment, my sort of mode of playing video games has shifted a bit. It feels a bit more passive now. I've been seeking out ones where I can multitask at them, which is something I normally don't like to do because, I'll normally be playing a narrative-based game where multitasking would be really bad. I wouldn't be paying attention. Whereas more lately, I've been listening to a podcast and playing a game. So I've been seeking out games where I can do that. So I've been playing more Diablo. Their new season started a week ago. And I've been playing through that with my flatmate. I've been using the new Necromancer class that I mentioned, I think, in the last however many weeks. And I've also been playing Just Cause 3 again. And I've been going through its DLC, which is just fun to mess around. So much fun to mess around in. And it's really easy to listen to something while I'm playing because I don't really need to pay that much attention.
Yeah.
If I die, it's fine.
I mean,
it slows
also, side note about Just Cause 3.
Yeah.
If anybody is interested in playing it and owns a PlayStation, it's going to be free next month. So, enjoy that.
Yeah, I think they just had some time when it was free to play on Steam, if I remember right.
Right, yeah. This is free to own, though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. It's a really fun game. So,
Just Cause 3.
You still haven't beat my record on it either, have you?
Oh, your record is, the most intimidating thing in that game.
I did another 17-minute run earlier this week. And they're both games that are really easy to mess around in. It doesn't really matter if I mess up or die. And I mean, with the Diablo build I've got, I can honestly play with just one hand because I only actually use 2 active skills.
Mm.
But yeah, so...
It's kind of interesting because I feel like I've undergone much of that same shift recently. Yeah. I don't know what it's been. But I have found it kind of difficult recently to want to get invested in a narrative again. So, my primary game has been, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And it's been things like Overwatch. And it's been things that I, first of all, our multiplayer, which, it is a radical shift from how I used to be kind of playing games. I used to totally avoid anything that wasn't a narrative game because I was like, oh yeah, my internet's shit. I have no friends. I can't play anybody with anybody. But stuff like PlayerUnknown's, I've found people to play these games with. Stuff like Overwatch, I have people to play these games with.
And when you've got that, it really draws you back, eh? Yeah.
And I don't think that's a like bad thing either for me to be shifting away from that, because I get so much cool story shit out of something like PUBG. Um, like
PlayerUnknown's Battleground. Sorry,
that's correct.
took me a
Yes,
moment. Yeah, no,
I get.
absolutely. Shifting is fine. Like you're still enjoying it. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, but it's been weird to think about that shift lately. I I don't fully know why I've undergone it, and I don't know kind of like why I've been averse to narrative recently. It's just weird. It has me feeling weird.
I'm sure. I mean, you'll shift back when you've got a narrative that you really want to get into. I'm sure. I think I know why I've shifted because, for one, I lost all my momentum with the narrative game I was playing, Mass Effect Andromeda, when my laptop broke, and I had to spend a few weeks without it. And also, I've been reading a lot and getting sort of my narrative hit from there. Although at the moment, it's
Right.
been so weird the last few days. I don't have a book going currently. For the last like 2 years, I've always had the next book ready. But now I don't own and have been able to find in a store the next few books in the series that I'm reading, so I've had to order them online. And I'm waiting for them, and I wish I ordered them before I left instead of when I got back.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I have been reading a lot. I finished a couple of books while I was away. So I've been getting all of my narrative requirements from that, I think. I'm sure I will get back into Andromeda, but yeah, it's having lost momentum, it makes it quite a bit harder because it's been way longer than I expected before I've finally had my laptop back in working order. It's been like 6 or 7 weeks or something. It feels ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it was like fully ridiculous the amount
Mm,
of time, and like it definitely kills momentum in any sort of narrative if you're away from it for a while.
yeah.
I think that's one of the most like frustrating things about narrative games. It's not quite like a book where if you lose momentum you could like arguably pick it back up, and it probably won't take you half as much time to complete as something like a narrative game, like if you really wanted to restart it. But with games, especially like the size that they have kind of grown to, I guess, for this vast majority, there's a lot of really really big games in the big name space. I should be
Mhm.
clear. So I think it's easy. It's really easy to lose that narrative momentum, and then hard to gain it back because of the sheer time commitment of it.
Yeah, I think we've talked a few times in recent shows about the balance between mainline stuff and sideline stuff. And when I was last playing Andromeda, I was doing a bunch of sideline stuff, and I think that also is keeping me from being drawn back immediately. Because I know if I went back,
Mm.
I'm in the middle of a bunch of like drive around side quests. And I suppose I could, honestly, I could go back and just do some more mainline stuff. But then I feel like I might worry about side stuff building up. And I feel like I have to get through all of it, which of course I don't. I should do what I enjoy. But just the fact that it's there and it's what I do when I was stopped, it's not keeping me away, but it's not helping bring me back, I think, at this point. I will go back. I will
Mm.
definitely go back. But that's there.
That's fair.
It's like
I
when I was playing a couple of years ago, Chrono Trigger on the DS. It's a game I've played through many, many times. It wasn't the first time. But
mm.
I can't remember. I died for some reason. I can't remember if it was just because I was playing badly or wanted to try something out or what. And then realized, oh crap, I haven't saved for 6 hours. And I
Oh
lost
fuck!
momentum and I just didn't go back. Because, going back immediately, you just are doing the same stuff over and
I,
over. Whereas,
it would have felt like a slog.
yeah, whereas um, with a book, like you said, you realize you've read this page, you just skip ahead a few pages. It's not so bad. You don't need to worry about save points and stuff. But
Yeah,
if I wait too long so that it doesn't feel like a slog doing the same stuff again, then it's kind of like, oh wait, what was all the context again? Maybe I should just start the whole game again.
yeah. Like I definitely had moments like that when I was playing through Assassin's Creed 3.
Oh yeah.
That's a big game, and there are basically two situations in which I restart a game. The first is I've hit a wall,
Hmm.
and like I've run into some difficult puzzle and I can't quite figure it out, and I don't know what the solution is. And so to pull back and take a break from it, I restart the game. and it hasn't really been a bother that I have to experience everything again. I
Yeah.
don't think.
Yeah, if it's not immediate, then it's fine. If it's
Oh
immediate, then
no,
it's a
like
bit like,
sometimes it is immediate.
oh, really? Okay.
Sometimes it's oh, I've hit this wall.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll come back to it like tomorrow and I'll just restart it. Like that's the sort of immediacy I'm talking about. Like, oh yeah,
Oh, sorry. No,
I'm not getting anywhere.
I meant the content you've just immediately done, like doing the same 3 hours again immediately, instead of jumping back 10 hours or whatever into a game.
Right.
That's kind of what I
Now
was thinking
that
of.
would be like I couldn't do small chunk immediacy, I don't think, but large chunk
Yeah.
immediacy
No,
that I can do.
I can get that as well. I think the main thing that drives me to restart games is there was some slight imperfection in the face that I made. It's not what I meant. I'm gonna
Oh no,
go back and spend another 6 hours in the character.
I made a Dragon Age character, and all the lighting made my character look like a nightmare. Oh no!
When will character creators allow you to see the face you're making in different lighting?
Now here's the
Right?
thing. I'm going to talk about a game I played this week.
Yeah, go for it.
Final Fantasy XIV.
The multiplayer one.
Another multiplayer one. Another one where I don't necessarily give a shit about the story.
I've heard good things about this game.
As it turns out, it's quite good. But,
Oh.
like, it's definitely, like, fetch questy and, like, weird.
What sort of weird?
When when I say weird, I mean, like, it's MMO, it's an MMO-ass MMO.
Right.
It's a lot of fetch questing, it's a lot of grinding, it's just a lot of that sort of thing.
Okay.
But it's very, very pretty. And somehow those, like, MMO-ass MMO quests have me kind of hooked. And also the fact that, like, I can be a very, very cute girl on this online simulation. That's the thing. And its character creator lets you choose different environments, which are, like, in the game to see your character in. It lets you
good.
see, like, an interior and a desert and, like, a couple other locations, and it also lets you choose time of day for the outdoor locations.
That's so
you
good.
can see your character at night.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Final Fantasy. You've done it. You figured out how to make me, like, really be invested in the character I am creating, and not just because I can make her a cat girl. Not just because I can do that, because that's an option.
Yeah.
It's an option. You can make your character a cat girl. You can just be a cat girl if you want to. It's great. Final Fantasy XIV is good.
I want to hear more about this character creator before you move on. So the lighting, that sounds really good and well thought out.
Yes.
What about the other aspects of it? Is the rest of it good as well in terms of what options you have and stuff like that?
I mean, it's quite simple because it's an MMO, but it still is, I think, quite good.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see if I have a screenshot that maybe I can send you at some point.
Because remember the last one that I encountered, the Andromeda one, I found disappointing.
Why did you find Andromeda disappointing? Well, I have a look for this.
So, a lot of the elements of your face are based on the preset you pick. So you don't have any specific control aside from picking different presets on your character's apparent age or their skin texture and a lot of stuff like that. Their mouth and eye shape, they're tied together because this preset has this combination. You can't go back and forth. I mean,
That's
to one degree,
weird.
there's an element of cohesiveness to it, but that comes at taking some control away from the player. So I didn't feel like there were very many options. The main thing was it felt like a downgrade from the original Mass Effect trilogy's character creator, where you did have more control over that sort of stuff. So, like the face I came up with, I'm still happy with the face I came up with.
Right.
But I was disappointed with how many options I had and that sort of restriction. But it also means, for example, you make yourself and your twin. And your twin clearly is going to be the same age as you. And your twins, you're going to look the same. But I found if you pick the presets with the same race, they're not the same apparent age. So it was kind of a little incongruous there for me.
Video games.
Yeah. But the main
Yeah.
annoyance was just that they'd done it well before with giving you specific
Right,
options in
yeah.
that. So I don't know why they ended up with that design for Andromeda.
I mean, it just happened.
I guess.
So
I mean,
I'm actually
they have
gonna.
improved it since, apparently. I haven't checked to
I
see what
do
the
want
new
to
options
actually
are.
just load up my Final Fantasy character for the stream.
Oh, yeah?
Um, so I've done that now.
Mm-hmm.
This is in like one of the starting areas. You can just like I said, you can just be a cat girl. I chose not to be a cat girl, but my girlfriend did not make the same decision. Or sorry, no, my girlfriend did make the decision to be a cat girl, and you can just be a cat girl. And also, like, this is in one of the starting towns.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good.
Cool.
This game is good,
Man,
but
there's
like,
a lot of UI going
it's
on there.
definitely a bit. It's definitely a bit horny.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see
It's
that.
a bit horny.
I mean, I played Terra. Have you played that game?
I've not played Terra.
That has... Oh, man, it's costume design. One of the races just wears, like, the skimpiest things you could imagine for their armor. But it's just that one race. So, it's
Right.
kind of weird.
Also, the UI in Final Fantasy XIV is whack. It's very much a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot. I mean, MMOs, I guess, often have a lot of UI, right? But I
Oh
always,
yeah, totally.
like,
MMOs definitely have like a lot of UI, but also that's not necessarily a good thing.
yeah, no, I typically don't think it's a good thing. I love games with minimal UIs most of the time. I mean, some of them, if you're playing like an RTS or like a grand strategy game or something, you need a lot of UI to interact with. It's meant to be a bit abstract. That's
Oh,
fine.
yeah, no, yeah.
That's fine. When you're controlling a single character, I really like when the UI is minimized. That's why I was so happy with how Horizon Zero Dawn let you customize removing UI components. HUD components, I should call them.
And Nier Automata does much the same thing, where you can actually just like strip off as much UI as you want, basically. Like I really enjoy that too. I really enjoy it when you have UI that is just out of the way.
Yeah.
I also really enjoy it when the UI is made to feel like it's just part of the world in which you kind of exist in, which is a thing that Breath of the Wild does really interestingly.
Yeah.
Because it's all just on this like in-game tablet
Oh, that's
that you
right.
have,
Yes. I'd forgotten about that.
which like on both platforms that you can play that game on, in most cases you're going to be holding a like tablet also.
Yeah. Borderlands did
Which
that a
is
bit as
really
well,
cool.
didn't it? With their like projected menu.
Yeah, they had like the in-world excuse for it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've been writing a little bit this week
Cool.
about Breath of the Wild specifically because I think I've talked about this a bit on the show. So I'll keep this brief. One thing that I have enjoyed doing in Breath of the Wild is planning road trips in abstract. Because the map in Breath of the Wild isn't super detailed. And so I'm going to read this little passage that I wrote
Okay.
from this piece. This is a first draft still. But here we go. Breath of the Wild's map and mini-map show the world of Hyrule in abstract. It's a topographical map, a tool, which gives you a sense of how you might progress through that world. When you activate one of the towers in the game, the tower distills the information about the world around you and provides you with that sketch. It shows structure and the form of the world, and the occasional name of places you've been or may even want to go. There's nothing else, though. There's no distractions. There's no go here pin on the map. And through this abstracted view of the world, you can fill that stuff in yourself. You can mark the things you find interesting. You can use a series of stamps. But there's nothing else on this approximated and almost sketched view of the world. When you've finished placing your marks on the world, the mini-map only shows you what's closest. What's most interesting about all of the map stuff, though, is pins, to me. Pins show up on your mini-map and kind of act as a directional pointer of sorts. You can actually see them regardless of the distance you are from a pin,
Right,
which
like a
makes them.
waypoint in a lot of games when it shows on the compass only kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's exactly the kind of thing it is.
Mhm.
And it disappears when you get close to it. But this is really cool because what you can do with that is you can plan a journey from, say, your current location to something off in the distance, and then you can look between them and put additional pins down. Like, oh yeah, I want to go here while I'm on my way there. I want to go here, and I haven't been here. Hey, what's this over here? Maybe did I miss this earlier? And you can pin all those locations on the way, and you'll have a sense of where to go. And you can go along this journey with multiple waypoints, much like you would do with the sort of road trip that would normally take you like weeks to plan.
Mhm.
But you can do it here in the abstract in seconds. And then you can just go and explore. No other open world game that I can think of has done anything like that.
You're reminding me of Oblivion, actually. Not for what it did, but for what I wished it did while I was playing it. Because I really loved the style of its map, how it looked like a drawn map in game.
Yeah.
And every time an NPC would say something like, "I'll mark that on your map," I got so jealous because I wanted to mark stuff on my map. And I had a physical map. I could have marked stuff on there, but it's not the same. It would have been really cool to have that sort of functionality in other games. That sounds really neat.
Why didn't you mark the physical map? Like to me that seems like the coolest thing.
So
If I could have an NPC say, "Let me mark that on your map," and then actually map it and like right on that map, that shit would appeal to me forever.
a couple of things. One, that I knew I was going to do multiple characters.
Right.
I could have photocopied it or something. I didn't. I forgot what the other thing was. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, it's really convenient to know where you are at all these points, and the in-game map does that. So I was relying heavily on the in-game map for that aspect of it. Although to be fair, I've sometimes wished it didn't do that because it can be really neat to look and see. I can see that landmark over there, and I can see that landmark over there. So where am I?
Yeah.
That can be really cool. And in Oblivion in particular, there's from almost everywhere in the world, I think you can see the Imperial City, the tower it has in the middle. Kind of like in Auckland, you can always see the Sky Tower. That's how you know you're in Auckland. And kind of from that, you can get your bearings even without looking at the map. That sort of stuff's quite neat. But on a smaller scale, it'll be really neat to be able to go, there's some ruins over there, there's a forest over there, and the town's that way. So where am I looking at the map? But you'd open the map, and it would just go, here you are! And you don't get a chance to figure it out. I suppose if I used the physical map, I could have done that. That would have been
See,
neat.
I think I have a similar kind of experience in like Battlegrounds for the most part.
Yeah?
Because at this point, I know where most things are on that map.
Yeah.
And so the only time I'm ever opening the map is actually to like plan shit. I'm
Right.
not looking around like, oh yeah, what's over here, what's over here. I'm looking to like, oh yeah, I'm going to mark this on my map because we're heading here next. I already know where it is. I'm zooming in, I'm putting my marker down, we're gone. Or I'm like, if we're in a very tight position, I know where some people are. It's like, oh yeah, I just saw them go into this building, and I'll mark it.
Yeah, yeah.
That sort of stuff is really interesting. But like, I feel like I have this real sense of place in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and
That's
it's
pretty good.
developed over a long time
Yeah.
in that game. I've spent an awful lot of time with that game because it's very, very good, and I have this cool sense of place in it. It is phenomenal.
I mean, I had that to a degree in Oblivion. And I'm talking about Oblivion because now that I'm done with both Oblivion and Skyrim, I actually have fond memories of Oblivion. It might just be because that was my introduction to the Elder Scrolls series. But I got some degree of that. It was very easy to know what region you're in, what city you're closest to. It gets harder to know, like, I'm in these mountains, but where in these mountains am I? But, I've probably spent around 100 hours in that game. So eventually I had it figured out a fair bit. But I was still discovering places I hadn't found before with new characters. There was a lot in that world. Damn it, now I'm kind of itching to go back and play it, but if I do, I know it's going to be a disappointment. I'll make it my little potato head person go and play Oblivion.
They do just look like potatoes, don't they?
Yeah, I'd have to play an Igonian or something, so at least it's like, hey, it doesn't look like a real person anyway, so I don't need to worry about it looking like a potato. I think my first Oblivion character was an Igonian, actually.
Oh, God. I've seen what they look like in that game. It's rough. Oblivion just looks rough. It's, like, I'm sure it's fine. I would like to play it at some point. Like, I think it's probably one of those games where it's like, yeah, I should play this at some point, shouldn't I?
It's over a decade old now.
Half-Life 2 is still in that, like, pile.
You haven't played Half-Life 2?
I played through some of it. I haven't played all of it.
Okay. I really enjoyed Half-Life 2.
I
I think I've played the whole thing.
I really enjoyed Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2 was what I played with that game was very good. I should probably finish it. Half-Life 1 I did not enjoy as much.
No. I tried playing Half-Life 1, but I just didn't find it handled very well for me. I don't know. It's probably just an age of the game thing. If I played it when it first came out, I'm sure I would have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But it was old enough that the way it handled jumping and stuff was relatively unfamiliar because, the way games came to handle that sort of movement, I think just it changes throughout the years. So when you're trying to play platforming-based games that are really old and you're used to playing games that are really new, it's going to feel weird. And when we try to go back to modern platform games now, in 10 years, again, it'll probably feel really weird. And there's also just the aspect of aged graphics. It's like, is that supposed to be this or something else? Which there's less of a trouble with now, I think.
Yeah, I think I still hold the opinion that, like, we've peaked on graphics. Like, graphics are bullshit. We don't need to be doing graphics anymore, as it turns out.
I don't know if I'd say we've peaked, but we've definitely got all the low-hanging fruit, I think. It's now a matter of, if you want to go for a realistic style, cool. It's just how much closer can you get in the relatively small margin that's left, right?
Yeah. Like, sure, we haven't peaked. I don't think we need to go any further. Almost with, like, photorealism. Photorealism, it's, like, starting to feel old. I'm much more interested in things like Torchlight, where I can go back to it and I'm not immediately just turned off by the graphics, and I can just play it. Because it's got this goofy, cartoony style. It has a sense of style that is beyond, like, just the world. Splatoon is the same kind of situation. Overwatch is the same kind of situation. It has this sense of style that isn't just like, oh yeah, it's our world, and everything looks like our world. That's entertaining.
You're right. With stylized stuff, it's easier to make them a bit more timeless, I suppose. Like Chrono Trigger, I mentioned earlier. I could go back to that now, and I'm not looking at it going, is that... It's just, no, that's what it looks like. And yeah, it's pixel art, so there's less detail than you'd get in something that's meant to look photorealistic. But it doesn't feel old in a way that it just doesn't handle well so much as it's old because that's when games that looked like that were being made, but still you can look at it now and think, oh, that's pretty.
I actually saw a game that you might be interested in at some point. I'll see if I can find it after the show.
Okay.
But, like, I remember seeing it was a game which had, like, fully simulated stuff happening.
Yes.
Pixel art.
Yes, I saw that. It looked really, really cool to me. Yes.
My instant thought was you would just really appreciate that.
Yeah, I saw it and I went to look it up on Steam and I couldn't find it on Steam, so I just sort of thought, I'll look again a bit later.
It might be coming to just, like, itch.io or something for now.
Right. But yeah, no, I don't remember what it was called either. The idea was simulating every pixel, I think was what they said about it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to Google that quickly to see if I can find the name of it, because I'm sure it'll come up. Google that. Noita, Noita. That's the game.
Okay.
And yeah, it looked really cool to me. So they showed stuff like this gas is a fire spell, lights the gas on fire. But it wasn't just like here's a standard gas object that is a standard explosion. It's like, no, the gas is in this shape and the fire will follow along that shape. Like
Yeah.
it was.
No, it's super good.
It was super cool. So I don't know when that's coming out. I'm definitely interested, despite it being a roguelike. Like I'm not a huge fan of just the whole fail fast play of roguelikes, honestly. But they so often seem to be paired with things that I really do like that I end up playing a bunch of them.
I mean, that's fair.
So yeah, no, that it looks really cool, and I do want to play it when it's available. You got me pegged. If you thought that, if you looked at that and thought of me, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, physics puzzle games are really cool. There aren't enough of them. There are
Can
some
you
really
give
cool
me an
ones.
example? I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I
Like
actually
Portal, sure. Portal.
Honestly, the two
like-
the two that occurred to me first are the joke ones, Quap and Gerp.
Oh my god. Does Quap count as a puzzle game?
No, but just the fact that they're simulated, they're physics-ish. They're not realistic by any sense.
I like the concept of a time puzzle game. Like, Super Hot seems really, really cool.
Oh yes, I haven't played that, but it looks super cool.
I still have to try that at some point. But like the fact that it is an action puzzle based on time is super duper cool to me.
But it's also time, but there's no time pressure because if you stop, everything stops.
It
Right?
still continues to move in like the slowest of motion.
Yeah, but not fast enough for it to be like really high pressure.
Yeah, but that also
Time-wise.
like your movement includes looking around too.
Right, okay.
Is the other part of that. So like unless you are fully tracking everything, it can get you. It can get you real fast.
One physics-based puzzle game that I played a lot of when I was a kid is The Incredible Machine. And they actually remade it a few years ago with it looks a bit more better. Just like the sprites that they use aren't as low resolution and stuff because I think it might even have been a DOS game. No, I don't remember. It was old. I played it when I was a kid, but that was really cool. And they had it was kind of a Rube Goldberg building game. We'd be like, here's the hamster wheel, I'm attaching a rubber cord to that around this other thing that turns, and if a ball bounces on the hamster will run, and it'll turn the cord, and that'll go over to a conveyor belt, which will move a ball along, which will fall onto some scissors, which will cut the string to a balloon, which will go up, which will knock some rocks, which will make a spark, which will burn a firework, which will go down, the firework will shoot off and explode. All like, all sorts of weird things. I remember you could also play with gravity, so I'd like turn the gravity way down, and the character who would just run back and forth, and they'd just be like running back and forth, but falling really, really, really slowly. They're not running on anything. And I'd make like a mark
actually
background. It's all coming back.
I'm astonished right now
Yeah.
because I have just opened up the Incredible Machine and you can play it in your browser now because like you can just run DOSBox in a browser.
Oh shit.
That's buck wild. There's no reason for any of this to be able to happen, but sure enough, it happens. Here's a link for you. And,
I'm there.
Twitch chat as well to go check that out at some point because that's kind of neat. And the fact that this site also hosts a bunch of like DOS games and
I
stuff.
didn't know about this at all. Oh wow, this is so super familiar. That is a very green alligator. Jesus. Okay, sorry. It's just gonna be watching it and be quiet.
This
should
is
stop
so
this.
cool that any of this just like is possible.
You see
Wow.
how it's doing all that physics stuff, right?
I guess. Hang on. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
hard to
I
tell.
can see how it would be doing this stuff.
Yeah, like there's a fan that's blowing. Yeah.
That's so cool.
But they remade it recently. I'll see if I can find a link to that because I bought the remade version. Um, they have a different name or something. But it was cool because it runs better. Things move at a high frame with fewer, smaller gaps in the movement. Like just watching that opening animation, the ball moved and like jumps kind of instead of moving more smoothly.
Right.
Okay, I think it's called Contraption Maker, the new one. I've got the Steam link. I'll just chuck that in the chat.
It looks like the one.
It says like deleted link.
In this series, it runs. Sorry, in this series, there is just like the Incredible Machine. Oh, this is okay. There was a remake in 2011, but also this is from the same team. That's kind of interesting.
So I'm pretty sure I own this. I'm sure I've played it, so I must own it. But yeah, so that's a really cool physics-based puzzle game for you. And it's very much a Rube Goldberg making thing. It's not like, there's other ones like where you're supposed to build a bridge and stuff like that are a bit more realistic. This is clearly ridiculous and meant to be clearly ridiculous, but it's a lot of fun. I'm getting so many memories from looking at it as well.
This is super cool.
But yeah, no, I really like physics-based puzzle games.
Really like I said, the only thing that I could think of would be like Portal. And you know what? It might be a stretch, but Kerbal Space Program.
Oh no, yeah, it's totally.
Kind of, sort of a physics-based puzzle game.
It's so physics-based, and yeah, I would totally give it that. I mean, lots of games that call themselves puzzle games have got like scenarios where there's a specific goal, like get the ball over there, kind of goals. But physics sandboxes. Yeah, that like I'm putting those in the same kind of group for the things that I'm saying I'm enjoying right now. Physics simulating games, puzzle or otherwise.
Yeah,
I really enjoy. I just saw online multiplayer pop up in this video of it on Steam. I didn't know I had that. Anyway, yeah. So this Noita game looks really neat just because it simulates the world while it's running. That is really cool. I remember being so excited when I first started seeing ragdoll physics come into games. Because you know how in old games it's like, shooter or whatever, and you shoot something, and they always do the same animation, and like they might fall half through a wall because there's no actual collision and stuff. And I think Oblivion might have been my first real exposure to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so, like, pretty dark, I suppose. But, when you find someone on top of a mountain and you see they roll the whole way down after you beat them. Like, that was a cool thing to start seeing in games. So, yeah. Physics in games is very cool. Says me, the physics nerd.
Yeah. I also, can I just say, I like games that also just let you toggle that through some means.
How do you mean?
So like, mostly through mods, for example, you could play Skyrim and like ragdoll yourself or ragdoll NPCs and throw them off into the distance.
Sorry, I thought you meant like toggle it on and off, like it's not doing ragdoll stuff.
Oh no,
gotcha.
I think there are a few games which just let you turn them off if they're like very much in the older camp. Like I think Unreal Tournament 2004 has an option to just turn off ragdolls.
I mean, it might have been because it was computationally expensive, so some machines would run quite slow if they were doing it.
Oh no, for sure. At that time, that would be, but like now it's an expectation almost.
Remember when I was making I never really released it, but I was trying to make a mod for Skyrim so that you could cook meat using fire spells. And yeah, no, it was really interesting. So the type of object that meat objects in the world can't actually tell when they're hit. So what I was doing is I was going through and silently replacing them with one that looks identical as a different type of object that the script can run when it gets hit by something and tell what it was hit by. But and I was getting rid of the original one, but it turns out there was a certain state that they could have that meant they couldn't be deleted, persistence. And I hadn't taken that into account in my original script that I wrote. So I found one of these, and basically the script kept going through and go, find all the meat, replace it with a fake meat, destroy the meat. Except the destroy the meat step wouldn't work, so it would go through again and again and again and again. It would find the same one again and again and again. Each time it would place another meat in the same spot, and it turned into an explosion. And then it kept fountaining out until it filled the room. My computer got slower and slower and slower as I had to deal with more pieces of meat simulated in this room.
Code hanging around still?
I don't. I've got a screenshot of it on Steam from however many years ago that was. But
I want to find that, actually.
Okay.
I want to find that.
I think it's the first screenshot I ever put on Steam.
While I do that...
Yeah.
I think we're getting close to the end here. I think we're getting up on there. What are you looking forward to playing this week?
So I think I'm gonna continue a bit with my multitasking. With Diablo 3 and Just Cause 3, and I don't know if there's any other game ending with 3 I might play. I've been listening to the podcast The Adventure Zone and enjoying it a lot. I've listened to like 26 episodes or something in the past few weeks.
Yeah, I just got caught up on that today.
Oh, yeah? Whew! I know you've recommended it to me before, and I had another friend do the same, so I thought maybe I should watch this. And then started it, and yeah, no, it's good fun. I don't know when I'll get back into Andromeda, but I should probably do it sooner rather than later, because I know that in about a month, I think is when the XCOM 2 DLC comes out. I'm going to want to play that. By the time I'm done with that, it might be close to Shadow of War coming out. Two big things I'm looking forward to playing in the rest of the year. So it'd be nice if I could get done with Mass Effect in time for that. And I'm sure that I could finish it if I went more mainline on it. So I might do that. I don't know if it'll be this week that I get to it, or maybe next week.
I have found the meat explosion now.
Oh, yeah?
I've found the meat explosion.
Oh, yeah, here it is.
My God.
Yep, I left it running for a while after that just to see what happened as well. That was early on. You can see that's why the meat was flying in the air.
Oh my God.
Later on, it just sort of was a shuddering, growing meat mountain.
Please don't describe meat as shuddering. Bad. No, don't do that.
So I think that was about a second into it, that screenshot.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's a lot. It's a lot of meat.
Yeah.
I think this week also, like, I'm PlayerUnknown, Final Fantasy 14. I have an Overwatch tournament that I'm starting in a couple days.
Oh, that's exciting.
Holy shit.
How long does that last?
Oh, it's going on for a month.
Okay.
But I need to get some practices in. I need to do that. As it turns out, gotta get tournament ready. So,
do a bunch of drills.
I'm desperately hoping that there was like a top 20 like in the world Overwatch player who may have signed up.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like desperately hoping I'm not against them at some point. They like were in a stream with me once and gave me tips. It was very nice of them.
Is this a New Zealand?
They're a top 20 player.
I mean, there's only 20 of those, so
yeah,
pretty rare. Is it a New Zealand thing, this tournament?
Yes, it's a New Zealand thing, this tournament. So.
Neat.
Should be fun.
Yeah.
I think that's my week. It's just gonna keep being the multiplayer stuff. I might put an order in at some point for Yakuza 0. So if I have that in time for a couple weeks from now, I might be able to talk about that a little bit.
Cool.
So that's the show, I think, for this week. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. If you liked it, and I can see why you maybe didn't if you were watching the stream. The stream was a little bit of a nightmare, and just for that, I'd like to apologize. It was not our intent, obviously. We had a couple issues on our side, it was my streaming program being a little weird, so yeah, I apologize for that. But if you liked the show, and want to see kind of where we go from here, you can subscribe on iTunes by going to bit.ly/PauseCast-iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at PauseCast Show. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/PauseCast Show. And if you'd like to support the show financially, you can do so for as little as $1 a month. And every little bit helps. Seriously. Patreon.com/PauseCast Show, or more conveniently, bit.ly/PauseCast. Thank you to our existing patrons.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, Noah Holmes, PD, Rezidoke, and Ash Yee for their continuing support of the show. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mark, you are online, and you've been doing some pretty good stuff lately. What have you been doing? What have you been up to? And where can people find you?
I don't know why that made me draw a mind blank. So yeah, I'm on Twitter at Honest Universe. I blog as well, not about video games, at honestuniverse.com. Today I've been just frustrated at... most of you might have heard about the shit going on in the States where Trump has said, hey, trans people can't be in the military anymore. And it just reminded me of how kind of shit things are here for trans people in terms of healthcare. So I've been ranting a bit about that and seeing if we can change it, because we've got an election coming up. So maybe that can let us apply some pressure and get some parties taking it seriously instead of the opposite. What about you? You're online as well.
I'm online. I'm at Cockatiel Cutie, basically everywhere. Online, on Twitter, on basically anywhere. No longer at bird.school. Don't try and find me there yet. Working on something for that. Gotta figure it out.
Okay.
That's
What about
it,
your writing?
isn't
You
it?
said you were writing. Where should people look if they want to see that once it's published?
I'll probably have that piece up on my Medium at some point this week. You can find that at bit.ly/birdmedium.
Wait.
That's the URL, and that's it. That's the show, isn't it?
Music.
Oh, right. Yep. As always, Mark coming in with the clutch. Thank you to Leon for the use of our theme song, Honey Milk Island. You can find Leon's music at soundcloud.com/LEYAWN. That's it for us. Peace.